Hello and welcome to the Corner Flag, a football podcast from India that we love producing and hopefully you love listening to. I'm Amogh, and with me in the studio today we have
Mukesh, I'm back for the second episode, guys. We made it. I made it. So that's fantastic. I'm still not getting paid, but
well, it doesn't matter. Payment is just a technicality. What matters is that you're here and it looks like we are going to be regular with our episodes again. Lots to talk about, Mukesh. Lots has happened.
can we just please talk about Bielsa?
Yeah, no bullshitting. Let's just go straight into it because what a fucking press conference, man. I'm a fan of that guy now.
Historic stuff, this, no? For a manager to walk out, hold a press conference a day early and be like, okay, here's my data, here's my process, do with it what you want.
Yeah. Like he's just a guy who does not give a single fuck. Like he's like, man, मैं ऐसा ही है, मैं यही करता है, सबके लिए किया है. It's not just Derby, you're not special. You're not the only team we spied on. We spied on everyone, okay? It's like somebody saying, he's not the only person I murdered 20 others. So do with that information what you will.
And then saying, is murdering really wrong though?
I really loved that reason that he gave because it was so honest. He was like, listen, there's no law that states that spying on a team's training session is illegal. Doesn't make it right, but it's not illegal. And because it's not illegal, I thought, why not?
And I love the fact that it's a small club doing it.
Yeah.
Because at a time when you're competing with like clubs that have like hundreds of millions and they're spending hundreds of millions on one player,
Yeah.
what can a small team like that do?
Yeah.
Other than just fight back using every weapon they have.
Yeah.
And their weapon is a pair of binoculars and a guy who's willing to stare.
Yeah.
That's their weapon, and that's so beautiful, right?
But you know what I actually loved about Bielsa's press conference? He went into extreme detail about what he did. Like the spying was just one part of it, but he actually gave the reporters and the journalists like an in-depth analysis of how he analyzes all his opponents with like Excel sheets and pie diagrams and bar graphs and video footage, and he explained the entire process and then said, and then I sent this guy out to spy. And after all of that said, yeah, but all of this is useless. That's just ballsy.
It's just to make me sleep better. That's all. And he's just a guy who's trying to not be affected by work at the end of the day. That's all he's doing.
Mental health is an issue, ladies and gentlemen. It happens to all of us, including football managers. I mean, if you're managing Leeds United, I guess it is high up on your list of problems.
And there's that story that we were reading about which said that after a Barcelona game when he was managing Atletico Bilbao, he lost 3-0.
Yeah.
But then he just sent data to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. Which is a weird gift to receive, right? Like, I mean, I think flowers are a weird gift to receive because, they die and they provide no real, utility to the person. But data is just weirder. Like, what do? You can't put data in a vase. Like flowers, at least you can.
No, but it's like a stalker being like, I know everything about you, but I can do nothing about it.
Yeah.
If your stalker knows everything about you but can't act upon it, I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
Or is it not?
And that makes me wonder, does that make him a good stalker or a bad stalker? Because he stalked you well enough to know everything about you. But he's a bad stalker because he's not done anything with it. Done nothing productive with it.
And this is to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
This is not to a manager where he's playing Rayo Vallecano. No, this is to Pep Guardiola who manages Messi at his peak.
Yeah. And I love the fact that Pep Guardiola also said to Bielsa that, you know what? You know more about Barcelona than I do. And like, that's just... Fuck, like, how must it have felt to be Bielsa? Like, at that point, losing 3-0 to Barcelona and then being told, you know more about Barcelona than I do. Then give me the fucking job!
Don't leave me at Atletico Bilbao.
Yeah. But I actually love the fact that, he's obviously managed Bilbao and, he's managed Argentina as well. So he's clearly a manager with some credentials. I love the fact that he's gone to Leeds United. It just feels like a manager of his stature would angle for a Premier League club. But nope, he went to Leeds. And he's doing some great things with Leeds. Like, Leeds are topping the championship table right now and favourites to come into the Premier League next season.
I can't wait for that.
Absolutely. This entire situation feels like how I play FIFA in career mode. Because I love United, but I never play career mode with United. I always play career mode with like Preston or something. I just want to have them promoted to the Premier League because that seems like a challenge.
And it's weirdly opposite of what I don't know if you were following this bit where Cristiano Ronaldo said he went to Juventus because he wanted to face a challenge.
Yeah.
And then Zlatan replied saying, "Go to a championship team and get them up if you want to face a challenge. Going to Juventus is not a challenge."
Typical Zlatan, by the way, to say that. Although I would like to point out, Zlatan has never played for a team that is considered below his stature. He's played for Inter, AC, Juventus, United,
But
PSG,
he's
Barcelona.
Two things. Every team is below Zlatan. Second thing, he's never claimed to have said, "I'm going for a challenge." He's
That's
just going
true.
for the experience and to provide the people of that, the supporters of that team entertainment.
Yeah.
That's who he
He's
is.
very outspoken and very honest in that regard. That is true.
Here's Ronaldo who said he wants to go for a challenge, and there's Bielsa living up to that challenge.
Yeah, essentially. But yeah, I mean, going back to what you said about just cannot wait for Leeds United to come back. You know, and I say this as a Manchester United fan, and obviously there's like a historic rivalry between our clubs. Leeds versus United have always been such fantastic games. You know, they've always been entertaining. And finally, I'll have something to talk to Arvind Desai about. Arvind Desai, of course, comedian from Chennai, famous comedian from Chennai, as you listeners might probably know. He's a massive Leeds United fan, and we'll get him on the podcast at some point. Mukesh right now looks like he's got this information for the first time.
Wait, why are you first? Your friends with Akash was an Everton fan.
Yeah,
And now you're fans of the comedian who's a Leeds fan.
yeah. I know 2 Tottenham fans also.
Tottenham fans are still understandable. They're playing good football.
I know a Man City fan. Nikhil Advani, the producer director, he's a Man City fan. I mean,
I think he's just filling in a blank.
yeah, he's filling in a blank. But yeah, Arvind Desai is a Leeds United fan. And
Where does he watch his matches? Unless he goes to the stadium, and an Indian comedian is not earning that much.
yeah. No, he has been to the stadium a lot. In fact, he's got some interesting stories about Leeds United. And I think we'll save those for when we have him on the podcast, because I know those stories, but listeners don't. I would want them to kind of hear them from the horse's mouth.
And somebody who actually tell us about how he's very happy about Bielsa. So for him, this is all part of the natural trajectory of things.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have him on the show soon enough. And just adding on to the Bielsa conference, I just loved his exit. He just said, you know, he ended with the lines. So after giving this entire explanation of Excel sheets and, pie graphs and bar graphs and all of that, all your expert analysis just out there in front of the media, he then says, yeah, but all of this is useless. And I still sent a guy to spy. Why did I do that? Because I think I'm stupid. And he fucked off.
And this is after telling them, pick a match, I will tell you about it. How bad is that? Then the reporter goes, match number 19, and he goes, well, let me tell you about it. I'm like, wait, you followed through with that promise. Pick a match. That confidence just to tell you about the
ballsy confidence. And I think just purely on the basis of that press conference alone, Leeds United need to come back into the Premier League, because after Mourinho's left, I think we've lost a bit of drama in the managers' union of the Premier League. I think Bielsa will bring that drama back. You know, it'll be really interesting next season if Leeds United finally make it back to the Premier League. But enough about Bielsa. Let's move on. We've got a lot of things to cover. Let's talk about this new meme. Have you seen this new meme that's been doing the rounds on social media? The 10 years challenge.
I've been looking at it. I'm glad. I'm not going to post how I looked like when I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not going to post anything about how I looked or behaved 10 years ago. And I'm glad there's no proof of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad about this meme is going about, because I actually looked at what Liverpool were doing 10 years back.
Right.
And it's been a journey, man.
Yeah.
It's been a journey for Liverpool. That season, 2008-2009, we finished second that year.
Yeah.
And now look at us.
And I mean, we were first. We won that season, 2008-2009 season. Manchester United won the season with an impressive record. By the way, we lost 4 games in the season. That is,
out of which two of those games were to Liverpool. So
That's
we just
true.
put that out there. You lost both the derbies.
That is true.
Ryan Babel goals.
Ryan Babel is back in the Premier League, by the way. I don't know if you caught that, but he signed a deal with Fulham. And he's still got a little bit of Liverpool in him, because he's got red hair now. Ryan Babel has got red hair. You should check out his photo. He looks absolutely comical. He's like the new age Abel Xavier. Do you remember Abel Xavier?
This is where I've learned how old you are.
What kind of a fucking Liverpool fan are you, dude? Abel Xavier was like a right back at Liverpool. He was Portuguese, and he used to have blonde hair and a blonde beard. Look him up. He was fucking fantastic. Now he's changed his name to Faisal or something.
Was he the guy from Everton or something at some point?
I don't. He might have played for Everton at some point, but he was definitely a Liverpool player. He wore the number 3 jersey.
Yeah, no, we bought him from Everton. That's how I know him. He's one of those famous across the city transfers.
Right. But yeah, just going back, like we thought we'd use the 10-year challenge meme to look at where our clubs were 10 years ago, and of course, United finished first, and Liverpool finished a close second. It was a great season. We actually won the treble that season. We won the Premier League, and we won the League Cup, and we won the Community Shield. So not really a proper treble, but that's still 3 trophies, man.
Just don't claim the treble, man. You had it good. You won the league enough.
That's 3 more than you that season. So
but we won against you. We won against you. So that's good enough.
That's a trophy apparently. See, typical mid-table team mentality.
Second, just so mid-table.
Yeah, we were runners-up in the Champions League as well that season. So it was all in all a very, very successful season for us.
You lost to Barcelona, right?
We lost to Barcelona that season.
So what was your team like in 2008 to 2009? Who all were there in your team? Like who the guys?
Who all were there? Oh, it was a really interesting team. All right, we obviously had Cristiano Ronaldo. I think this was his last season for United, because we were runners-up in the Champions League. We lost to Barcelona. And then the next season he left for Real Madrid. Because he's like, yeah, you know what? I won 1 Champions League with these guys, and we tried to win the second, we couldn't. And now it's time for me to go to Real.
And of course, he wanted to compete against Messi.
Yeah. But apart from that, I mean, we had a great fucking team, man. I mean, we had Gary Neville, we had Ryan Giggs, we had Paul Scholes playing, John O'Shea, Johnny Evans, Darren Fletcher, all those guys. But like the interesting names in this team, okay, the interesting names were Zoran Tosic. He made 2 appearances for us as a substitute, and then he fucked off. And we had that was also the year we got the twins. We got Fabio and Rafael from Fluminense, and they turned out to be great buys, or at least Rafael did.
Was Paul Scholes around?
Paul Scholes was around, yes.
This was like, I remember Gerard, Paul Scholes, Carragher, Paul Scholes.
Yeah,
those were tight, good game.
Yeah.
Giggs was around.
Giggs was there. Tom Cleverley was here. Ben Amos was our goalkeeper, and just a bunch of names. Danny Drinkwater was still in the squad.
Wow, you guys had Danny Drinkwater.
Danny Drinkwater is the Manchester United Academy product, and then he went to Leicester City and did really well, and then he went to Chelsea and fucked it all up.
As they usually do.
Go
to Chelsea and mess it all up.
Yeah. What was the Liverpool team like?
This is the team, man. This is the team, I think, say younger Liverpool fans. This is what we fantasize or romanticize about, which is like we had Fernando Torres, who was at his peak.
Yeah, I remember Torres giving Nemanja Vidic a run for his money. I mean, that was the only time Vidic felt invincible. Is that the opposite of invincible?
Very much winced him over.
Yeah, winced him.
He got a red card, I think, in some match. He was sent off in a Liverpool match.
Vidic,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised at Vidic getting a red card, because the fucker was the toughest defender.
We had Jabi Alonso.
Wow.
I think Javi Alonso, I love the guy because he had such a respectful exit.
Yeah,
which is somewhat similar to what you described Cristiano Ronaldo, where he's like, I won you guys a league.
Yeah.
I won you guys a Champions League.
Yeah.
I lost the league with you. Now let me go do better things.
Yeah.
Which is what I feel Philippe Coutinho should have done.
But he never won you the league. So that's the big difference.
That's a big difference, right? If he had stayed back, tried at least winning us something, and then gone off to do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that he left mid-season just made it really tough.
Yeah.
And I think should have learned a little bit of class from Jabi Alonso.
Yeah.
There was Dirk Kuyt, who, by the way, is my favorite player. He was called He-Man because just the work rate that he sort of produced. And I was reading
he produced work rate by himself on the pitch and work rate from the commentators who tried to pronounce his fucking name. Dirk Kuyt.
It took me 5 years to call him. 5 years to not call him Kuyt.
That would have been a fantastic headline for the newspapers when he actually leaves Liverpool, right? Kuyt quits. Kuyt. Just quite
after
shit.
Quite a career.
Who was the one player from the 2008-2009 Liverpool squad that like was he? You know the David Ngog type of player, but not David Ngog because I know he was in the team.
2 of them.
Okay.
One is of course Jermaine Pennant. He wouldn't turn up for training because you said I'm sleeping. And this is a team that has Gerrard waiting to win the Premier League. Xabi Alonso, who is like, a stylish, talented, fantastic player meant for bigger things than Liverpool at that point. And really giving it all. Dirk Out, who runs 30 kilometers in a match just randomly. And Jermaine Pennant can't get up. He's too lazy. And I don't know how he played, like how he was in that squad. So Jermaine Pennant was quite a character. And he was famous for his standoffs between him and Benitez. They just hated each other.
They hated each other. Absolutely. I mean, I wonder why, now that you've given me this nugget of information. I mean, he's my spirit animal. Like, I feel like I would be the type of player who would be like, mere ko sone ka hai. Nahi aane ka mere ko.
Just not getting up. And like, I'm thinking, this is Carragher, right? Again,
Yeah.
I'm just don't want to get up in the morning. That was his big issue.
So Jermaine Pennant was one. Who was the second one?
The other one's Ryan Babel. Because turn up randomly, combat. Just I didn't know who he was. Like, he scored at vague points, and he would probably have a good goal or two, but just wouldn't justify his position.
Right. It's going to be interesting to see how he does for Fulham now, because they really need somebody. I mean, they really need anybody who can save them. It's not one particular person or a type of player who can save them, because they've got Andre Schürrle, they've got Mitrovic, they've got Seri, and these are all like quality signings.
They've got Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah, they have Ranieri now managing them. They've got Callum Chambers at the back. It's a good squad. They've spent a lot of money, but they've just not fucking gelled, right? So maybe Redhead, Ryan Babel can come to save them.
Yep, it's like the way he saved Liverpool against Man United on a derby day.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and watch for that. But let's quickly move on to what happened last week. We had a cracker of a game between United and Tottenham. Like it was supposed to be the first major test for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he fucking passed it, man.
I humbly accept that I was humiliated in my predictions.
Yes, you were. I said we would edge it. I got the scoreline wrong, but I said we would edge it, and we did. It was a good victory. And I mean, it all comes down to fucking David De Gea, man. What a superhuman goalkeeper. Of course, the defense was shit.
But also, how he turns up in these matches. Like, it's one thing to be a great keeper, but it's one thing to be a great keeper when your defense is shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like if there was one thing I would give De Gea over Alisson, begrudgingly, is that Alisson hasn't faced shit defending yet.
Fair.
Whereas De Gea has had his days.
Well, he's had his months,
seasons, with shit defense.
But here's an issue that I have: if your goalkeeper is that good and your defense is that shitty, and your goalkeeper regularly turns up to save the team when the defense is that shitty, that kind of makes the defense go a little complacent, right? Like, I'm sure Phil Jones is thinking, "Ha re, wo sambhal lega." Like Phil Jones
in Hindi, he thinks.
Phil Jones must be like, "I'll just stumble over the ball, make a few faces. People will make memes out of me, and David will save us."
Or, like, the other way of thinking about it is David De Gea wants to stay at Man United because it's exciting to be a keeper for a bad team.
Yeah.
Because you just get to play more. Like, Alisson is just bored.
Yeah.
He spends, have you noticed how Alisson's beard is impeccable?
Yeah.
And that only happens to a man who has lots to think about other than goalkeeping.
You think he's actually standing in goal and just shaving and tweezing his eyebrows while Virgil van Dijk is just marshalling the defense in front of him. Hey, goal ko jare mat do, Alisson daadi kar raha hai.
And that's his big problem. He's like, shit, do I look good?
Yeah.
Because he looks so fucking dapper.
Yeah. He does not look Brazilian.
He does not look Brazilian. He looks like Xabi Alonso's brother-in-law or something.
He does. Also, the other thing I wanted to point out about it's a serious point about David De Gea's performance against Tottenham is that he made 11 saves in that match. All right, 11, and all of them pretty much match-winning saves. Because that could have been 11 goals that we would have let in, had it not been for David De Gea. And I think you could just see his confidence just build up with each save. And I think that's what happens. And I'm sure you play as keeper, so you know this more than anybody else. The minute you make a fantastic save, you're like, I'm unbeatable. Fuck it.
You're waiting
bring
for
the
that.
Next one on.
As a keeper, you're always waiting for that one save.
Yeah.
And then you're in the game.
Yeah. Then your nerves are settled, and then you're like, chal, theek hai.
And then it's like you can see the trust in your defense when they look at you and they're like, okay, he's got it. And you're like, yep, I've got it.
Yeah.
And you can see the other team, they're panicking. They're like, okay, this guy. And just imagine if we're feeling this at this level, just facing Harry Kane. Again, such a simple name, guys. Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And
It's the generic English name.
Harry Kane, yeah?
Yeah.
Stupid Harry. Just no
Yeah,
effort into
yeah.
that name.
Harry
Again,
Kane.
David. So
Harry Kane also sounds like he's a little slow. I'm Harry and he just wants to win the Premier League and with England, with Gareth Southgate, he's just mad.
I would never give you credit, but that's actually a very good impression.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how he sounds. And he's probably thinking, shit, he's hit form. And how horrible it must be to be a striker of a team, just be facing against the world's best keeper at that point.
Yeah.
You're expecting him to be like, the defense is shit. He probably make 1 or 2 good saves,
Yeah.
but you're not prepared for 11 saves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that must be so
Yeah.
frustrating. And he got injured too.
Yeah, and that sucks for Tottenham fans because now Heung-min Son is of course left for the Asian Cup, so he's out. They're about to sell Moussa Dembele to a Chinese team, Guangzhou, if the rumors are true. And Tottenham fans I know rate Dembele really highly because he's really energetic in the middle of the field, can dribble the ball and can keep the ball really well. So they're going to lose him soon. They're obviously out. Harry Kane's obviously out with an ankle injury and he's torn his ligaments apparently. And as an ex-ankle ligament injury sufferer, I know how bad that is. So he's out till March. Eric Lamela isn't doing shit. Lucas Moura is pretty much, invisible.
If rumors are to be believed, they're looking to sign Divock Origi from
Holy shit.
Liverpool as a replacement striker, at least temporarily.
Wow. How the mighty have fallen.
Desperate.
I mean, their other options are Fernando Llorente and Vincent Janssen.
Who I love just because his last name is also Torres. It's Fernando Llorente Torres.
Oh, fuck. Let's talk about Brighton versus Liverpool really quickly because that was the game that Liverpool played last weekend.
Yeah, there was some element of it which I got correct, which is as I predicted, it was a very boring game.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool just played very.
Yeah.
They played well. They had their moments, but it wasn't your classic Liverpool gegen pressing.
Right.
We got the goal through a penalty.
Yeah.
Which as a fan, I'm not a big fan
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
getting goals
Yeah.
through penalties.
Yeah.
I want to see Salah do big moves,
Yeah.
big plays. I'm trying to not say sexy goals,
Yeah.
but I just want some sexy goals.
Yeah.
And penalties are not very sexy. Also,
Right.
because the keeper guessed the direction of Salah's penalty,
Right.
which is an issue with Salah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that keepers are able to guess, and he's only managed to power through penalties because surely he has the force to get them, but
Yeah.
keepers are catching up with this penalty taking. So
Yeah.
that's an issue for me to worry about.
Which is interesting because next weekend is United versus Brighton. They come to Old Trafford and surely now, I mean, I'm finally starting to feel positive about games because we won 6 on the trot. And if this was Mourinho, I would be skeptical about Brighton at Old Trafford. Like those were the dark times me and I'm sure a lot of other United fans were going through it. Like, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen. They might just sneak a 1-0 victory or we'll have to fucking hold out for a draw or they'll take a 1-0 lead and then we'll have to really fight and win 2-1.
As a fan, when you're thinking, we must hold out for a draw, that's when you know your team
Yeah.
has sunk to depths.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the Rodgers era for me,
Absolutely, yeah.
especially post Suarez's exit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho era for me.
I really liked Van Gaal though. I'm sorry. I thought he had something good going and then just messed up.
Yeah, I can't really imagine what went wrong, but I think it's something similar to what happened with Mourinho. I think it's just that Van Gaal and Mourinho both have such massive egos and have no connection to Manchester United as a club or English football traditionally. I mean Mourinho has been with Chelsea for 3 seasons or whatever, but he's still not ingrained in English football philosophy, which Moyes was rather to a certain extent.
Also, Chelsea is not a team that has any philosophy.
Well, fair enough, exactly. And I think that was the major problem because they tried to come in with their own philosophies. And Gary Neville recently said on his podcast, which is something that I kind of believe in, is like nobody should bring in their own philosophy to Manchester United because the philosophy of the club is so deeply ingrained. And he compared it to Ajax and Barcelona. No matter who changes, like who the manager is at Ajax or Barcelona, the philosophy of the club stays the same. The way they play football stays the same. The amount of investment they make in their youth academy stays the same. And obviously, these managers try to change that. Like it all went downhill from the time Moyes came in and fired Mick Phelan as assistant manager. That was the biggest mistake because Phelan was Alex Ferguson's assistant manager for multiple years. And he knew the club. He knows the club inside out. He knows what it's like to manage the club essentially because towards the end of Sir Alex's reign as manager, essentially it was Phelan managing the team. He was taking the training. He was giving the team talks. And that's what Solskjaer did. Very famously, as soon as he got the call to come on as caretaker manager this time around, the first call he made was to Mike Phelan and said, come back in. And luckily, Mike Phelan's back. And it's showing. The results are showing.
So, are you saying that at some level, Sir Alex is sort of ghost managing? Because I also see...
that's what a lot of people say. I don't think that's true. We know that he's gone to the dressing room once. But, he's on the board. So, I'm sure he's allowed to go into the Old Trafford dressing room. Surely there's no steward who's going to be like, I'm sorry, sir, I can't let you in. You don't have a valid ID.
I need to see your ID, please.
Yeah.
Who are you? Statue outside?
Yeah, go check that out, bitch.
That stand is your name?
Yeah, okay, cool. No, but I don't think he's ghost managing, because that's just disrespectful. And if there's one thing we know about Sir Alex Ferguson, he's a respectful man. He's not going to step on Ole's or any other manager in the past on their toes and be like, you know what, I'm going to come in. He might have given Ole some advice, which is fair. And I'm sure Ole asked him for advice because Ole fucking adores Sir Alex. He's learned a lot about management and football from Sir Alex. So, yeah, I don't think he's ghost managing at all.
But here are two things where I have a problem with what you said about, what Gary Neville said, which you quoted, about Man United already having its own philosophy. Then what does a manager bring to Manchester United? Because, if you look at Liverpool, right?
Right.
Of course, for mirth's sake, you will always bring up that we haven't won any titles in the last 30 years.
Right.
But every manager has brought something to the table. Whether it's a Kenny Dalglish, whether it's a Brendan Rodgers,
right.
whether it's Jurgen Klopp, whether it's Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
Roy Hodgson even, for that brief stint that he worked as a manager.
But you didn't win much.
Correct.
Just see the level of transition that your club has gone through with all these managers. Every time you change a manager, you're changing a philosophy, you're changing the way the club is run, essentially. And that affects the team, that affects the squad, that affects the mentality of the squad. Suddenly, like, your squad of 18 players, 24 players who are used to playing a certain way under Benitez are suddenly forced to change to the Brendan Rodgers system. And they're like, oh shit, now what do we do? And of course, there's casualties. Players leave, players come in. And, new crop of players is cultivated to follow that philosophy. And then suddenly 2 seasons later, there's somebody else. And that instability is a problem.
So then what is a manager to you?
A manager to me is somebody who aligns with the philosophy of the club. I'm not saying that he should completely, let go of what he thinks is the right way to go forward. But he should, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for example, is bringing his own tactical awareness to the club. He's bringing his own formations. He's bringing his own starting lineup and ideas and the type of talent he's going to scout for in the future if he gets the permanent job, or for this transfer window at least. He's bringing those ideas in. He's bringing his style of team talks in. He's bringing his styles of training in. But I'm saying the overall philosophy of the club. I'll give you an example. When Mourinho was in charge towards the end of his reign, he had pushed MUTV out. He had taken panga with the official broadcaster of the club. Now that's just stupid. That's just ridiculous. Like, if you have an issue with the official broadcaster of the club, surely it can be solved behind closed doors. But no, he just pushed them out and it was news. And that doesn't do well for your team morale, because, players are online. They read these things, and no matter how many times they'll tell you in interviews that they only focus on the games, it affects to a certain level. And that's what is harmful for a club, I feel.
Fair enough. I feel like in the end, you sort of digress, but I don't agree with the fact that a club has a certain type of philosophy and then the manager sort of aligns with that. I'd love to see managers come in, because I feel like a manager is the 12th player in the team who sort of controls it from one part of the field.
Yeah.
And to see a club play in that image or in that philosophy, which is what makes Bielsa so interesting to sort of wrap things up, is
Absolutely.
that the 12th player is controlling all of this, and there's a team that has its own philosophy that is shaped by how this person thinks. And to me, to see a team reflect that is very interesting. Of course, it might not have won trophies for Liverpool, but it's won trophies for other teams. Whether it's a Pep Guardiola where he goes,
right.
Whether it's Mourinho, who certainly has a very specific, unique style,
right.
Whether it's Bielsa, who will hopefully come to the Premier League and get Leeds back to former glory at some level.
Fair enough. Very quickly, let's move on to what Liverpool is doing this coming weekend. Liverpool are playing Crystal Palace.
The giant killers, if we call ourselves giants, I'm terrified of the game because Crystal Palace has given us terror from when they owned Christian Benteke.
Right.
The only time Christian Benteke has been a terror is when
To anyone.
when he plays against Liverpool. There's this amazing stat about Benteke. I don't know how exactly accurate this is,
Right.
but the stat is that he scored more at Anfield while playing for Crystal Palace than during his entire career when he played for Liverpool at Anfield.
You've had a bit of those though, right? Like you've had Divock Origi, for example. You've had David Ngog. You've had Christian Benteke. You've had
Mario Balotelli.
Danny Ings. You had Danny Ings. What? I think you only bought Danny Ings because he was a Southampton player and you couldn't resist yourself. Like, "Ye Southampton ka lena chahiye."
There was some change and then we said Danny Ings. But do you know which buy was like that? You know that buy where we just couldn't resist even though he was absolutely added nothing to the team?
Right.
Was Ricky Lambert.
Ricky Lambert, of course.
We're playing Real Madrid at Anfield. 34-year-old Gerrard with Ricky Lambert up ahead. Playing against Iker Casillas.
Striking terror in the hearts of Sergio Ramos and Pepe.
And Iker Casillas at the goal. And Ricky Lambert, who can't run from the big D to the goal, is just scoring against him. Those were the days.
Yeah. But what do you think? Predictions very quickly for Liverpool versus Crystal Palace.
We're defensively much better. We're not vulnerable. I'm predicting a 2-0 comfortable victory. Tight game, but 2-0 victory.
All right.
What about you?
For United versus Brighton, I think it's going to be a 3 or a 4-0 victory. Because I know for a fact that David De Gea is going to be in good form. He's going to carry over his form from the Tottenham game into this game. We're at home. We're against Brighton. This should be an easy victory for us. And I'm hoping for a Marcus Rashford goal because I have recently transferred him into my FPL team, which now brings the discussion to FPL Woes.
Yep. What I loved about your prediction is the clean sheet because I have David De Gea and finally he's giving me the points that I really expect from him.
Oh shit, you had De Gea in goal. Oh fuck, you got 12 points.
But I also had Vardy up front. I guess it sort of evened out there.
What's the situation with your FPL team for this week? Because I am honestly in tatters because I had Son in my team who's unavailable. I had Kane in my team who got injured and he's out till March. And I also had Trent Alexander-Arnold in my team who's injured as well. So there's 3 players who are injured. And I was wondering if I should use the wild card at this point. A lot of my friends told me that take the minus points, wait for the wild card to use it after the transfer window is shut because you'll know who's coming in and who's going out. And all I've done thus far is I've just transferred out Kane and got in Rashford, which I don't usually do. I don't like United players in my FPL team because I think it's a bad omen. And I just hope I haven't fucked it up for United.
I think you should, like your friend suggested, take the minus and then wait for the transfer season to get over so you know who's coming in, who's going out.
Right.
Are there any big planned exits from Man United?
Marcos Rojo, so not a big exit. Marwan Fellaini, also not a big exit, although a big guy. So technically, pun. But no, none apart from that. I think it's going to be a fairly quiet transfer window for us.
Yeah, even Liverpool, I don't see anybody coming in. I had to get rid of Harry Kane too, and I got Aubameyang, which now suddenly looks like a bad idea because he's playing against Chelsea.
Right.
But he might turn out to be a good bet in the next set of matches.
Right.
So he's there. My front 3 have not been doing too well. Vardy and Jimenez, they haven't really been scoring, and I don't know how to make up for that.
Right.
The only good thing being that David De Gea has given me some points. I've taken Nasri, by the way. He's my interesting buy for this week.
He's your differential.
And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if you watched the West Ham match. I saw Nasri play last week against Arsenal and I just felt like he had a point to prove. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching him play. I thought he composed himself well playing against his former team. And a team that saved a lot of bad blood against him because he moved to Man City after that.
Yeah.
And he has a big point to prove coming after the big scandal that he was involved in.
Right.
And I put him. I'm willing to take a bet on him. And he came at a very cheap price of 5.5 million.
Wow. Nice.
And I think he's a good buy. I'm really excited to figure out what he plays. He's playing against a fairly weak team, Bournemouth.
Yes.
West Ham is playing well. So I'm excited to have him there. Of course, I have Salah and Sigurdsson and Brooks. Brooks is my stupid bet. Might work out, might not work out. But I think I'm excited for Sigurdsson, Salah and Nazi to give me some points. I'm expecting.
You've never figured out how to say Sigurdsson, right?
Half the players in EPL, if they're not from England, I just don't know how to say them.
Fair enough.
If they're not from England, I don't know how to pronounce their names.
with my FPL woes, I think after getting Kane out and getting Rashford in, I'm pretty okay because I've got 2 injured players or unavailable players on the bench with Alexander-Arnold and Son. But my starting 11 looks pretty strong because it's only Aubameyang who's playing against Chelsea, and that's the only tough fixture for my team. Everybody else is playing either Bournemouth, Southampton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Leicester, Burnley, or Brighton. And
That's
a lot
right.
of home games.
Here's an interesting FPL question I have for you, which is that do you have, and I find myself facing this a lot nowadays,
Okay.
which is that I have players, say, like I'll give you an example. I have Jimenez and Vardy, right? Now, they're playing their next matches against each other. So in this case, I'm like, I have players, like I have Doherty as my defense and Vardy as my front man.
Right.
So now they're going to be against each other, and I don't know how I want that result to be. So I
Right.
feel like that's a bad strategy that I should learn against, is to plan my players accordingly so that they don't play against each other. An example would be last game I had De Gea and Harry Kane, which is a very stupid thing to do.
No, but it's you can't really escape that, can you? Because at some point, just because of the odds, at some point you're just going to have players in your team who are going to play against each other. At best, what you can do is put the weaker of the 2 players on the bench, and hope that kind of works out for you. But that would mean you're essentially making like 2 to 3 transfers every week, which is just not sustainable. Luckily, this time around in my team, I don't have anybody playing against each other, so I'm kind of good. And that is where we are at with our FPL teams. If you guys have any suggestions for transfers that we need to make to our FPL teams, or if you have any insights on how your FPL teams are doing because of certain differential players that you have in your team, do write into us. And that brings us to the end of the show. Mukesh, say bye-bye to our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, and I hope you guys have a good time listening to this. We had a good time conducting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Prashant Soni, who produces the podcast and also has done the artwork. Give him a shout out on Instagram and Twitter. His social media handle links are in the episode description and on the podcast page. Please write into us. Mukesh is on Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram, he is at
Mukesh.Manjunath, and on Twitter I'm Mukh the Gall, like asterisk the Gall, Mukh the Gall.
Yes, and you can reach me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Amogh and Dive. You can also visit the website amoghranddive.com and check it out. Check out the Corner Flag page on the website there. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other major podcasting app that you use. And do not forget to rate us and write us a review on the podcasting platform that you're listening to this on, because that means we can get discovered a lot more, and it gives us the reason to wake up every morning and work towards
We
producing
won't be
this
Jermaine
podcast.
Pennants.
And we won't be Jermaine Pennants. And on that note, see you next week. Goodbye. Honestly, with my woes, I think after transferring Kane out and getting after getting Kane out and getting
Where imagine at that level where David De Gea, I forgot how to pronounce his name.
you just went Dahiya, like fucking Vijay Dahiya, the cricketer. David De Gea.
David De Gea, sorry. I zoned out about how to pronounce.
Yeah.